Marcus shoved a stack of papers onto the kitchen table. At 2 a.m. Sign here, here, and here, he ordered, tapping the pages. His voice was cold, like he was talking to a stranger, not his wife of 8 years. I looked at him, messy hair, tired eyes, and the faint smell of perfume on his shirt. Now, Emma, he snapped, pushing a pen toward me. I don't have all night. The kitchen, once filled with warm memories, now felt like an interrogation room. You get nothing, he continued with a smirk. No alimony, no property. You leave with what you came in with. I took the pen and calmly signed each page. Marcus watched, expecting tears or protests. Instead, I felt relief. He had no idea I'd been preparing for this moment. I had noticed the signs: late nights, secret texts, password changes. But 6 months ago, a lipstick stain on his collar confirmed my suspicions. That night, I called Diana, my best friend, who was a paralegal, and James Mitchell, the best divorce lawyer in town. You're making this easy, Marcus said, gathering the papers. I thought you'd fight. I smiled, thinking about the documents hidden in my safety deposit box and the proof I had collected over 3 months. Why fight? You made your choice. He hesitated, not used to my confidence. Megan's different, he said. She's ambitious, not stuck in a boring teaching job. I thought of my students, my investments, and the future I had carefully planned. I hope she's everything you want. Marcus stuffed the papers into his briefcase and pulled out his phone, probably texting Megan about his win. Don't try anything stupid, Emma, he warned. As he walked to the door, I said, Marcus. He stopped. You might want to read what you just had me sign. He scoffed, but I saw a flicker of doubt. I know what's in them. I wrote them myself. Did you? I asked. Or did your friend Steve from the golf club do it? His face darkened. How did you? Good night, Marcus, I said, turning to make tea. After you left, I sat at the table, hands around my mug. I had spent months gathering proof, setting the trap. Marcus thought he was outsmarting me, but he never saw it coming. Steve, his so-called legal expert, was a fraud. My lawyer James figured it out immediately. Those papers Marcus forced me to sign, they weren't what he thought they were. I sent 2 texts. To Diana. It's done. He took the bait. To James. Time for phase 2. Then I went upstairs to pack Marcus's things. By morning, he would realize the truth. But tonight, I smiled, knowing he had just signed away everything, without even reading the fine print. The first call came at 7:15 a.m. I watched Marcus's name flash across my phone screen as I sipped my morning coffee on the porch. 4 calls, straight to voicemail. Then the texts started. What did you do? These aren't the right papers. Answer your fate only. I set my phone aside and watched the sunrise, thinking about the exact moment Marcus would be realizing what he'd done. The divorce papers he'd had me sign weren't divorce papers at all. They were documents transferring all our joint assets into my name, along with a sworn statement admitting to his infidelity and financial misconduct. Deanna arrived at 8 a.m., right on schedule. How are you holding up? She asked, setting her laptop on the kitchen table. Better than Marcus, I guess, I replied, showing her the stream of increasingly frantic messages on my phone. He just called the office, Diana said, a smile playing at her lips. James told him he'd be happy to meet with him next week. You should have heard him spluttering. The doorbell rang at 8:30. Marcus stood there, still wearing yesterday's clothes, his face a mix of rage and panic. What the hell did you make me sign? He demanded. I stepped aside, letting him enter. Diana's presence at the kitchen table made him falter. Who's she? Diana Peterson, paralegal for Mitchell and Associates, Diana said professionally. Please have a seat. We have some matters to discuss. Marcus's face went pale. Mitchell and Associates, James Mitchell's firm? The very same, I said quietly. Coffee? He ignored my offer, pulling the papers from his briefcase and slapping them on the table. These aren't the divorce papers Steve prepared. You switched them. No, Marcus, I corrected him. Those are exactly the papers you brought last night. You just never bothered to read them carefully. Too busy texting Megan, I suppose. Diana opened her laptop. Mr. Turner, shall we review what you've actually signed? First, there's the transfer of all joint assets into Mrs. Turner's name. which you've authorized with your signature on pages 3, 7, and 12. Then there's your sworn statement regarding your affair with Megan Porter, including dates, locations, and financial records of gifts purchased using joint funds. Marcus collapsed into a chair, his face ashen. This isn't legal. I'll fight it. With Steve's help? I asked innocently. Your unlicensed friend who's currently under investigation for practicing law without a license? That should go well. You set me up, he whispered. No, Marcus, you set yourself up. I just made sure everything was documented properly. Diana pulled out another folder. We also have evidence of your attempt to defraud Mrs. Turner by presenting false legal documents in the middle of the night, which I should mention, was captured on the security cameras installed 3 months ago. Marcus's head snapped up. What cameras? I gestured to the subtle lens in the corner of the kitchen. Amazing what you don't notice when you're feeling superior. Why are you doing this? He demanded, his voice cracking. For revenge? For protection, I corrected him. I gave you 8 years of my life, Marcus. I supported your career, managed our home, and believed in our future. And you repaid that by trying to leave me with nothing. Diana slid a new set of papers across the table. These are the actual divorce papers, properly prepared by Mitchell and Associates. You'll find the terms quite different from what you had in mind. Marcus stared at the papers, his hands shaking. I don't have to sign these. True, I agreed. But then we'll proceed with charges of attempted fraud, and Steve will likely face serious legal consequences for his part in this. Your choice. You can't prove. Actually, Diana interrupted, turning her laptop to show him, we can prove everything. The surveillance footage, your text messages to Steve about planning this, the illegal documents he prepared. Would you like to see more? Marcus slumped in his chair, the full weight of his situation finally hitting him. I'll lose my job if this gets out. You should have thought about that before trying to ambush your wife with fake papers at 2 a.m., Diana said crisply. I watched my husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, as the reality of his position sank in. The man who'd smirked at me just hours ago, so confident in his superiority, now looked small and defeated. You have 24 hours to review these papers with a proper attorney, I said, standing up. After that, we proceed with fraud charges. Oh, and Marcus, the next time you try to trick someone into signing something in the middle of the night, make sure they're not smarter than you. He gathered the papers with trembling hands and walked to the door. Before leaving, he turned back. Emma, Save it? I cut him off. Your 24 hours start now. After you left, Diana turned to me with a grin. That went even better than we expected. I sat down, finally letting out the breath I'd been holding. Think he'll sign? He'd be an idiot not to, she replied. Though he's already proven he's capable of making monumentally stupid decisions. I picked up my phone, now silent after hours of constant buzzing. The last text from Marcus simply read, You've changed. No, I whispered to myself. I just stopped letting you believe I was less than you. Marcus signed the papers exactly 23 hours and 12 minutes after leaving our house. James called to inform me while I was grading papers in my classroom after school. He tried to negotiate, James said, amusement clear in his voice. But when I mentioned the video footage of him trying to coerce you into signing fraudulent documents at 2 a.m., he became remarkably cooperative. I looked around my classroom at the student artwork decorating the walls and the math problems still written on the whiteboard. This dead-end teaching job had given me more satisfaction than Marcus could ever understand. What about Megan? I asked, thinking of the young intern who'd fallen for Marcus's promises. She was quite interested to learn she wasn't the first, James replied. Apparently, her documentation of his previous affairs was quite thorough. She's already cleared out her desk at the office. That evening, Diana came over with a bottle of wine to help me pack up the last of Marcus's things. Have you heard about Steve? She asked, carefully wrapping a photo frame. Is Golf Buddy the fake lawyer? No, what happened? The Bar Association is investigating him. Turns out you weren't the first person he tried to scam with fraudulent legal documents, but you were the first one smart enough to catch him. I sat down on the couch, thinking about how differently things could have gone if I hadn't noticed that first lipstick stain, if I hadn't made those crucial phone calls, if I had remained the passive, accommodating wife Marcus thought I was. You know what's funny? I said, twirling my wine glass. Marcus always claimed I was bad with details. Said that's why I was just a teacher instead of someone ambitious like him. But it was the details that brought him down. A week later, I received an email from Marcus's company. The board had reviewed the evidence of his misconduct, including his attempt to fraudulently force his wife to sign away her rights at 2 a.m., and decided his position as chief financial officer was no longer tenable. Your detailed records were quite helpful, the HR director wrote. We're conducting a full audit of his department. I forwarded the email to James, who responded with a single line. Sometimes the best revenge is simply being thorough. The divorce was finalized 3 months later. I kept the house, half of Marcus's pension, and most importantly, my dignity. Marcus moved to a smaller city to work for a much smaller company, his reputation in shambles after the truth about his attempted fraud came out. Megan tried to contact me once, wanting to explain her side. I sent back a simple response. The security cameras caught your side quite clearly. She never wrote again. 1 year after that night in the kitchen, I sat in the same spot where Marcus had tried to strip me of everything. But now the house was truly mine, redecorated to my taste without Marcus's sophisticated preferences overshadowing mine. Deanna joined me for dinner, bringing a small gift-wrapped package. "Happy Independence Day," she said with a grin. Inside was a frame containing the security camera photo from that night, Marcus smugly pushing papers across the table, not knowing he was documenting his own downfall. A reminder, Diana said, that sometimes the best defense is letting your opponent think they're winning. I hung the photo in my home office, next to my teaching certificates and a note from a former student thanking me for believing in them. It served as a reminder that strength doesn't always look like what people expect. Last week, I ran into Marcus's mother at the grocery store. She started to turn away, but I called out a greeting. "I heard you got a promotion," she said stiffly. "Head of the elementary school curriculum department." "Yes," I replied. "Turns out being good with details is valuable in education too." She nodded, then hesitated. He's not doing well. That young girl left him for someone more successful." "That's unfortunate," I said sincerely. "I hope he learns from it." As I walked away, I heard her murmur, "We all underestimated you." That night, I received a text from an unknown number. It was Marcus. "I'm sorry. I should have appreciated what I had." I looked at his message for a long moment, thinking about the man who had stormed into our kitchen that night, so certain of his superiority, so confident in his plan to leave me with nothing. "Thank you for the apology," I wrote back, "but you were wrong that night. I didn't get nothing in the divorce. I got myself back." Then I blocked his number, poured myself a glass of wine, and sat on my porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors. Sometimes the best victory isn't in fighting back, it's in being prepared, being patient, and letting karma do its work. Marcus had tried to write me off as simple, unambitious, and easily manipulated. Instead, he learned that underestimating someone is the biggest mistake you can make, especially when that someone has been taking notes all along.